And there we go. Hey everybody, are we live? Is this working? Are we live? I think we are. And welcome everybody to this live stream. Today we're gonna build a cool little riff song, whatever. We're gonna layer some tracks and, loop them and build a cool little riff. Are you in for that? Let's start with this idea here. Got the ditto looper in front of me. I got a little 2-chord progression here, and that's what we're starting with. I think for a first little start to the stream, actually not that bad. I just warmed up a little bit, solo a little bit over the track, just to get a feel for it, you know, because usually that's what I do when I come up with a new idea. And today, we're gonna build this idea, we're gonna build it out just a little bit. We're gonna add some layers, and if you join in the chat, you can actually, you know, impact what we're going to do. So if you have a special wish what we should add to this kind of melody, we can certainly do that. But until then, I'll just probably start adding some layers here. And I have done this before in a video on my channel, but I think with this combination, which by the way, if you want to play that at home, it's just like a C major 7 with an open G string here. And then we go to a G major 7 with the same open G string. So it's basically what I'm doing is I'm just finger picking and I'm doing. So that's the entire idea that we have so far. That's how it sounds. You know, C major 7, G major 7. Just back and forth. That alone already creates an atmosphere, you know? Sometimes you don't need so much to write something cool. 2 chords, as you can hear, is actually enough to completely come up with a new mood, if you want. And enough of that. Let's add some layers here to make the sound more full, more complete, and make it more exciting, you know? We have just one guitar track right now, and I think the first thing that we should actually do is lay a foundation and, you know, put in a bass, because with the bass, the entire track sounds a little bit more complete. So what we're gonna do here is gonna switch over to a bass, something you rarely see on this channel, but here you go. If you're live with me now, there you can see it. Just grabbing the bass real quick. And with that bass, you know, I'm just plugging straight into, you know, guitar model. It doesn't matter with bass, you know. It's just bass at the end of the day. It's just another, you know, it's just another guitar. And what we want to do is we want to actually look at what does that riff do rhythmically. And the reason we want to do this is because with the bass, you always want to support the rhythmic foundation of a song, at least in my opinion. And I guess what I can hear with this is just like these triplets. Maybe let's tune up real quick. Close enough. And what I would want to do is just to support these kinds of triplets, you know, the because that strengthens the rhythmic foundation. It gives you, you know, a little bit of a groove, so the song drives a little bit more. And that's really cool. Let's try that. Let's record here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try that one more time. So now we got a bass track. I wonder if we actually need some more rhythmic elements here. And maybe what we could do in general is, you know, try some of these percussion things that you can just, you know, simulate with the bass or guitar, it doesn't really matter, where you do these kinds of plucking noises and they kind of sound like, you know, a kick drum and a snare drum, something like that. I mean, it's not really a drum set, but for a loop like this, if you just want to, you know, build out an idea, develop an idea, that's definitely good enough. So let's try that. Something like... I think that's pretty cool sound. Now, enough of that, right? I guess. Now, the next thing we could do is just think about some more melodic layers. You know, we got a bass, and we got some rhythmic elements, but now maybe let's try something like, I don't know, some lead lines maybe. And since we're in C major 7 and G major 7, what comes to mind, at least for me, is open strings. Because with this kind of chord combination, you have the G open string where you can do all sorts of stuff, you know, over these chords. You can do things like something like that, you know, all just with the open string, hammer-ons, pull-offs, nothing fancy. Just come up with a cool melodic pattern here. Let's see what we can come up with. I'm thinking of something like this. Something like this, you know. Let's try this. Now I need to do that again. Here we go. For some reason we already have a loop now. Alright then. I think that sounds pretty cool, actually. In the first half, it's a little bit emptier. In the second half, we start this little open string thing. That's pretty cool. Now, maybe next step could be to, you know, next thing to me would be to come up with a cool solo idea here. Do you have any questions so far? Let me know in the chat if there's anything you want to know about this. But the next thing for me would be to just do a little open, you know, improvisation kind of solo on top of that. And since we're in C major 7 and G major 7, that already tells you we can pretty much use the G major scale here, or because G major scale would be relative to the E minor pentatonic shape, so I could just play over G in the E minor pentatonic shape, which is very comfortable for me because that's what I often do. So in the E minor pentatonic shape, we can now do all sorts of stuff. Something like... all different things around the E minor pentatonic, despite the fact we're in G, because it's just the same shape with a relative scale. But I think we should come up with some signature lick here that we can repeat over and over again that always sounds cool. And I'm thinking of something like, a little bit higher, up here something like that. That's a cool lick. The one before was a little better. I'll do it again. I think that's pretty nice. And we could actually build an entire solo around that little, lick. Sorry. Back to the signature lick. And that's how you can build a track or a musical idea, and with just very little, actually, 2 chords as you heard, and just 2 different instruments, you can actually build out a lot. And if we were to add drums now, and maybe some other, different instruments, this would become, a much bigger thing. But I'm just my point actually is just to show you that with very little you can do so much. I could jam over these two chords for hours at this point. I would just probably lay down another 2 layers in certain spots and that would be it. And then I could just, you know, solo over it for hours, develop new solo ideas, practice, you know. All these things are so much fun. Even if you don't want to write stuff, you know, even if you don't want to record stuff, it's so much more fun to practice to your own music, because when you're looping these kinds of ideas, that's essentially what you do. So, right. Not a lot of questions so far in the chat today. I guess it's summer. Everybody's out. Everybody's on vacation. That's fine. But if you have questions, let me know in the chat. I'm happy to answer a couple. We don't have to stream that long today, but just wanted to show you a couple things, and I can show you a couple other things too. We got Simon saying, I'm glad I'm not the only one who hits bum notes. No, you're not. No, you're not. That happens all the time, especially when you do these impromptu things that I'm doing. I don't plan any of this. I just know I go into a live stream and I just have 2 chords, and I know I'm going to solo over those 2 chords. But then when I hit, when I start the stream, pretty much what happens after that, I have no idea. I just go with the flow. And if I have, a couple bum notes in, 45 minutes, that's just fine for me, it's just fine. We're all just human, that's cool. We got Bowdy Ben, so clean, love your string muting technique. Well, did I string mute anything? Thank you, but did I string mute anything? Yeah, I guess so. I mean, that's that Eric Johnson, Joe Bonamassa kind of thing that I picked up very early on when I was maybe, 14 years old, because these guys just played so clean. Whatever they did, it was so clean. Actually, the first thing that struck me about Eric Johnson and Joe Bonamassa kind of stuff was that it wasn't really the stuff that they played, it was how fucking clean they just played it, Everything just sounded so concise, every note was clearly audible. And that was something I absolutely wanted to do too. Now, I'm not as clean as a Joe Bonamassa because I'm not playing that many solos when making music all the time. Most of his songs have extensive solos, so he has a lot more repetitions under his belt. Plus, he's older and has been doing it for a longer time. But I mean, it's kind of that technique where you're doing these, you do the alternate picking kind of thing, the up down on the picking hand, and then you have these little mutes just with just the edge of your palm right here. You're not really muting it like this, but you're muting it just a little bit. You deaden it just a little bit, like. That kind of stuff. It's just like the Eric Johnson, Joe Bonamassa kind of technique. I guess it's the Eric Johnson technique because he came up with it first, and I use that sometimes. What else do we have? Hey Joey, shout out from Chicago. Hey man, what's up? How's the weather in Chicago? Must be better than in Germany, because I can tell you, in July, out of 30 days, it probably rained 20, which is atrocious. When you're waiting for summer all year pretty much, and usually in Germany we have pretty nice summers, but not this year, dude. I hope in Chicago it's a little bit better. And also, if you're a Bears fan, we're not friends because I'm a Packers fan. Just joking, man. Happy you joined the stream. Hope you're having fun. What else? Any new tracks coming soon? Actually, yes, absolutely. I will release my first solo song where I'm singing and playing guitar and fronting my own band again, just named Joey Jones, in early September. September 5th will be the release date of a completely new track. It's not Shady Bell, it's just me with a couple friends playing my own songs, my own lyrics, my own riffs. So everything was pretty much produced by me and is played by a band, and I'm very excited to share that. I'm gonna do some promo with, you know, videos and reels on Instagram and all that stuff in the upcoming weeks. But since you asked, yes, there's going to be at least 2 new Joey Jones songs on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, wherever you're streaming. Very, very soon, September 5th. That's an official kind of statement and like an unofficial kind of statement here, but you will hear about it soon. And yeah, I hope you're going to be excited. It's rock music and it's pretty straightforward. Some have guitar solos, some songs don't. And that's all I can really say at this point. Cool. Saw your Instagram stories. How are the new solo songs coming along? Hey, nice. I just talked about it. They're coming along nicely. So, you know, I'm going to release 2 on September 5th, and then I probably release another 2 in November, and probably another 2 in January or February. So fall this year is really going to be the time of Joey Jones songs. All you guys have been asking for so long, hey Joey, when are you going to do your own songs, your own stuff? Like, you know, Shady Bell, I have another singer and all that stuff is great, but where's your own stuff? And now's the time. Now's the time to just release it. I'm excited, but I'm also a little bit, how could you say? Not really, you know, I don't fear that date, but I'm very, very intrigued by the reactions that I'm going to get, because none of you guys have ever heard of this stuff before. So none of the songs that are coming out are actually songs based on riffs you've heard on the channel. Except for that studio preparation video I posted a couple weeks ago where you heard the actual first single. No Quitter is a Winner is the name of the first single. And it's a really driving, super hard rock track with a guitar solo in the middle and, you know, just like a driving chorus, if you will. So excited, but also, I don't know, a little bit intrigued by what the reactions are going to be. Right. Do we have another question? Hey, Joey, what camera do you use? Right now, I'm using a Sony A7 IV is the name of that camera. For the sole reason that I always use Sony cameras, and this one does live stream super well. So, yeah. There you go. It's hot as fuck today in Chicago. Yeah, man. I mean, it seems like Germany this year has the worst summer. Like the worst summer weather. There's so much rain, so much wind, and yeah, today actually is pretty good. But what else? What else do we have? Not much. So. What do you guys think in the chat? Shall we do another round of tracks here? Shall we do something else? Maybe we should start with an entire different idea, like a real quick one. And if you have questions, post it in the chat. And after we build something, I'll answer a couple more. So let's do something from scratch here. Let's do, I don't know, what could we do? Should we go major or minor? Post in the chat now. Major or minor? What should we do? Happy or sad? Please, give me some input in the chat. I could do something like, you know, very sad. Oh, sorry. Major, minor, okay, minor, okay. I guess we're going to go minor then. Let's try, that's just off the top of my head, I didn't plan this, so let's just try this. This is like an E minor 9. And this is a very weird C chord. So let's just do the same thing. We're gonna just do 2 chords back and forth and see what we can come up with. So let's go. So since that was an E minor 9 chord, we're in E minor, right? I wonder. You know, this is already a melody that's very, in my ears, what I'm hearing is this is very bright, very high, you know? So I would go ahead and add something that is lower than that first. Just intuitively, that's what I would do now. I'm missing some, you know, low frequencies in this. So maybe I'll just turn on my octaver and do like a little bass thing here. Something like that. See, that already rounds out the idea a little bit, you know? It's very dark. It's not the right tune for summer, that's for sure. But that's what we're going with. Now we go with the flow. What else can we do? Now we got low frequencies and that high melody. I think, I don't know about you, but this sounds really sinister, right? Really dark. I wonder if you can make it even more creepy by adding something, you know, maybe a little bit of chorus here. That's super creepy in my ears. That's cool. That almost has like a Queens of the Stone Age kind of vibe to it now, I feel like. And I love that band. Now, the question is, can we add even more? What would actually make sense here? Let's try something. I think I can add, I don't know. Something like that. Just octaves. Oh no. Maybe not. Let's do that again. That sounds really nice, dreamy, dark. Could be, I don't know. And guys, what do you think? Shall we play a solo over that? Like a real slow, nice, bendy, melodic solo? What do you think? Shall we try that? Okay, if you want to make this epic, you know, if we want to have a solo that is epic on top of that, we need some, you know, like long delay trails, and we need some maybe we even need some wah. Let's see what we okay, let's try something. We need gain too. Something like that. That has a Metallica vibe to it, I feel like. What do you think? Do you like that, guys? Let me know in the chat. Is that something you would play too, or what would you do differently? Let me know. I could try one more solo idea here. Let's do it. Something like that. What do you guys think? Again, that just is something I did off the top of my head. Just go with the flow. I just commit to 2 chords, and then I just, do whatever it takes me. I just go that way, And how did you like that? Was that good? Okay, what else do we have in the chat here? Slow bends and swells. Hey, swells, good idea. I'll try swells. Maybe something like this. Sounds good to me. Yeah, the swells. The swells are always welcome in a situation like this where it's wide and spacey and dreamy. Then swells are always a good stylistic thing you can add. Nice idea. Very cool. Was there another question? Yes, there was up there. I have a question about tone. Which exact IRs do you use? Own hammer. So, it depends actually. I do own some own hammer, pun intended, some own hammer IRs, but I do own other stuff as well. So I have, what is that other company called? Red Wires. I have Red Wires stuff. I have own hammer stuff, and specifically, it always changes depending on the amp model that I'm using in my Fractal FM9. I'm using the Fractal FM9 right now. I could use the Kemper as well. It wouldn't make much of a difference, but for the sake of cabling and not wanting to change cables, I'm using the FM9 here. What you're hearing right now, I'm not sure, but I would assume it's a V30 cabinet. If it's own hammer or not, I'm not sure, but I think it's more important to state it's a V30 cabinet and should be a Bogner V30 cabinet, I guess, mic'd with an SM57. You can already tell by my answer that I actually do spend some time with IRs, but not too much. As soon as I have one that fits almost everything that I want to do, I just keep it forever. And I have a couple, maybe a handful that I always use. Bogner with V30s. I'm not sure if it's own hammer or Red Wires. Then I use a EVH cabinet with a greenback speaker sometimes, specifically with Marshall tones. If I want to get like vintage Marshall tones, then I'm using these. But I'd say 9 times out of 10, what you're hearing in my playing is a V30 speaker, because that's what I always play live. That's what I've always used in the studio. That's what I always go for. It's a super efficient speaker. It doesn't break down when you tune down the guitar, and often I use alternate tunings. As you know, I'm a big fan of those. And for that, you just need a speaker that does it all. And greenbacks don't do it all. While greenbacks sound nice, they usually sound nice on standard E or E flat. When you tune it lower, they usually break down, or they're just not powerful enough to handle the low end then. So V30s are always the way to go for me. And I've heard V30 so much in my life, and so often I've produced so many songs with V30 sounds that V30s to me are almost flat. To me, a guitar amp through a V30, I know it's not, but I've heard it so often, I'm so used to the sound that a V30 to me is always like, oh, there it is. It sounds right now. It sounds flat, you know. It's almost like the natural sound of a guitar amp to me is through a V30. That's how much I'm used to these speakers, because I always use them. But in pretty much every device you buy nowadays, there's good IRs already in there. So yes, you can use own hammer, but I've also had success in the beginning with my Fractal with just using the onboard IRs, which I think are not own hammers. So I mean, if you know what you're doing, you pretty much can't go wrong with good IRs, but good IRs nowadays are everywhere. Okay, what else? Do we have more questions, or are we good for today, guys? I think, do we have more? Slow bends and swells. Roberto says hi. Hi, Roberto. What's up? Yep. Okay, good. Guys, I think that's 2 ideas that you can try yourself. I showed you the chords. I showed you the ideas. I showed you the approach. I showed you how I think about these things. So now it's time to grab your guitar and do the same thing. Go grab a looper if you have one, or just record 2 chords in your DAW or whatever, and add layers, build something, be creative, and I guess I'll see you around. I'll play you out with another solo, and then I'm gone. Thank you for tuning in today. I've been Joey. I'm gonna see you with another video, I guess, next week, and some more news about the upcoming songs. So bye-bye, everybody. Have a good night. Have a great week. Let's make it full 80s and turn on the chorus. That sounds like Scorpions.